Hello everyone, I welcome you all in my civics class. Today we are going to start with our civics chapter. Actually, in your syllabus it starts with chapter 2. Chapter 1 is not in our syllabus. So we are going to start with chapter 2 of civics, which is what is democracy and why democracy. Now the concept democracy you have been listening from, very you can say previous classes, even starting from right class 6. Here we will be studying it in more deeper sense. So first here your chapter starts, if you read your textbook, the chapter starts with discussion between teacher and students. Okay, I will just give you the gist. Here students are asking, teacher is going to start with the definition of democracy, and students are asking me, why do we need to define democracy, right? So the teacher answers that it is the need, you can say many times what happens, there are countries which are actually not democratic, but then too they call themselves democratic countries, because nowadays it is a democracy is in fashion, right? Every country wants to be called democratic, okay, even though they don't have all those features of democracy. So by defining, we lay down all the features of democracy, that if a country has these features, then the country will be called democracy, otherwise it will not be. Okay, so in this chapter we will be studying that how we should define democracy, what should be the major features of democracy, that if any country does not have these features in their government, then they cannot be called democracies. Okay, then we will also be studying few arguments against democracy and in the favor of democracy, and we will end the chapter with broader meaning of democracy. I hope you will enjoy this chapter, because here we will be taking a few case studies of different countries also. So let us get started. First, we will start with the definition of democracy. So whenever you are asked to define democracy, you always give that Abraham Lincoln's definition: democracy is a form of people, which is of the people, by the people, and for the people, right? This is the easiest definition of democracy given by Abraham Lincoln. It is every student's favorite definition also, right? We complete very soon. And many times this definition also comes for democracy, that it is a form of government in which rulers are elected by the people. Okay, because in democracy rulers are elected through election by the people, right? This is why we call it for government of the people, right, and by the people. For the people, so it will be then only if rulers work for the sake of people, right? So we will take this definition as the basis of our discussion further in the chapter. Now, one chief factor common to all democracies is that government is chosen by the people. So whenever we talk about democratic countries, this is a major basic, you can say very basic idea, that whoever rules the country, or the representatives or the rulers, they are always elected by the people. Okay, government is of the people. It also helps students to demarcate between democracies and non-democratic governments. So by defining democracy, students will be able to demarcate, means distinguish between democratic countries and non-democratic countries. You will understand in the course of the chapter. From the non-democratic government, take for example Myanmar, where rulers were not elected by people. Now here they have given Myanmar as example. Actually this the first chapter of your civics, it is all regarding case studies of Pakistan, Myanmar, then Chile, then then Nepal and all. So in Myanmar there was military rule. It was ruled by, you can say there was military dictatorship. So that was not democratic country. Okay. So rulers were not elected by people. Those who were in charge of the army of the country took over as rulers, and people had no say in the decision. So just in Myanmar what happened? Army rule started. Army took over in Myanmar. So military dictatorship started there, and people did not have anything to say in the decision making process, because army people, those rulers, they were not elected by them. Okay, so we cannot say that this is that Myanmar that time under the military rule, that was not a democratic country, right? So it was military dictatorship. So this is what is you can say this example is given here of Myanmar. You can just go through that chapter just for knowledge. It is just a case study. Now we will start with the features of democracy. The simple definition of democracy gives rise to various questions which are given below. Now before we start with the features, we will take a few of the questions which have arisen from the definition which we gave. The definition was that leaders in democracy are elected by the people. Now what questions are made from this statement? That who are the rulers in this definition? That who are these rulers? And what kind of elections constitute a democratic election? That we say leaders are elected by people, right? Elected means through elections. So what kind of elections these were? Were these elections democratic? And who are the people who can elect the rulers or get elected as rulers? And who are these people? Does everyone get right to vote, or does everyone have right to get elected? Finally, what form of government is democracy? Okay, so these questions arise from that definition, very simple statement which we just gave in one sentence. That democracy is a form of government where where leaders are elected by the people. So that one statement has raised so many questions. Now we will be answering these questions in our next topic, which is the features of democracy. This is the first feature of democracy, that major decisions are taken by elected leaders. Now, what is so special in this chapter? Before studying any of the feature or any argument in the favor of democracy, we will be giving one example first. Okay. For example, here the first feature of democracy is that any country where the major decisions are taken by the elected leaders, that country is democratic country. So we will understand this by taking example of Pakistan. Okay. So let us get started. Some countries like Pakistan do not follow the rule. Which rule? That major decisions are taken by the elected leaders. Actually, right now it is not so. We are talking about in 1999. In Pakistan, General Pervez Musharraf, you might have heard his name. He led a military coup in October 1999. Okay, so he was a military commander that time, General Pervez Musharraf. In 1999, he led a military coup in Pakistan. Now, what is military coup? Military coup is when the military takes, or you can say throws over the present elected government and starts ruling. Okay. So, military coup was led by General Pervez Musharraf in 1999. The democratically elected government was overthrown. Okay. So, he overthrew the democratically elected government and went on to become the president of the country. Okay. So, by that, leading that military coup, or you can say in simple terms, he attacked on the government buildings and he took over power in his hands and he became the president of country. Okay. Now, in 2002, he also had held a referendum. Okay. Now, what is referendum? Referendum is, you can say, it is a direct vote where people have to say either yes or no. Okay. So, in that referendum, country that granted him a 5-year extension. So, before introducing that referendum, he had promised people so many, you can say, things. Okay. In August 2002, he issued a referendum. So, in that referendum, he promised so many things to people. Okay, so that people vote in yes to extend his rule. Okay, and people voted in yes. So he extended his rule by 5 years. Okay, so means from 2002 to 2007. Meanwhile, after passing on this, legal framework order elections were held to the national and provincial assemblies and elected representatives were granted some powers. Now what happens? In August 2002, he issued a legal framework. Legal means anything which comes from law, right? Legally. Framework means the plan of action. You can say this legal framework was introduced by General Pervez Musharraf. According to this legal framework, elections were to be held in Pakistan. Okay. to the national and provincial assemblies. National assembly, we can say in India, we say it is the parliament, you can say supreme legislative body. Provincial assemblies means the regional assemblies, as we have in India, we have state legislative assemblies. So in Pakistan that time these were called provincial assemblies. Okay, so elections were to be held for both national and provincial assemblies, and then elections were held. After that, once the election results came, all those representatives who were elected, who won the elections, they were granted some powers. Okay, they were given very, you can say, less powers. The final power rested with military officers and General Musharraf himself. Now, this is the point to be noted, that people, those representatives who were elected by people, they had very less powers. Okay, they did not get those powers for what people elected them. Okay, for example, we choose anyone as MP, member of parliament. What we expect, that what power this person should have, that powers were not given to them. Okay, actually that final power rested with military officers and General Pervez Musharraf. That major powers to take decision was with General Pervez Musharraf and military officers who were not elected by people. Okay, they were never elected by people, but final power to take decision was with army and Pervez Musharraf. So we can conclude that it was not a democratic country that time. Okay, so the same thing happens in many dictatorships and monarchies also. Thus, by reading this Pakistan's case, we can conclude that in democracy, the final decision-making power must rest with those who are elected by the people. Okay, means in Pakistan elections were held, right? People chose their representatives, but what was the use of choosing those representatives when those representatives did not have power to take major decisions? Who took the major decisions? Army members and General Pervez Musharraf. Okay, and these people were not elected by the people, right? So we can say Pakistan under General Pervez Musharraf was not a democracy. Okay, and this is how the question is asked from this topic, that how you can say that Pakistan under Pervez Musharraf was not a democracy. So you will then write that in Pakistan under General Pervez Musharraf elections were held. Okay, then but the final decision making power was not with the representatives of people but with army officials and Pervez Musharraf. So we can say it was not democracy. Okay, so you can attempt this question this way. Now, the first feature of democracy, I hope it is clear to you. Second is free and fair electoral competition. Let us understand this by taking example of China. Now, in China, elections are held every 5 years. Okay, but here also you will see no meaning behind elections. For the country's parliament, which is called Huangyu, Ramnin, Daebui, whatever it is, in English, what we can say, National People's Congress. Okay, this is Chinese language. The pronunciation I cannot pronounce. So it is just National People's Congress. Okay. What we have said here, that in China elections are held every 5 years, as elections are held in India also every 5 years. Okay, in India for parliament, okay, their parliament is known as National People's Congress. Now, before contesting elections, a candidate needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. You also might have heard that in China there is rule of Communist Party. Okay, so what happens? The National People's Congress has the power to appoint the president of country. Okay, the president of the country is appointed from this National People's Congress only. It has nearly 3,000 people. Okay, it is not mentioned here. Okay, 3,000 people are there in National People's Congress. They are elected from all over China. Then some members are elected by the army. Okay, army also has, we can say, there is some reserved quota that these many members will be elected by army of the country. Now, before contesting elections, a candidate needs the approval of the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, so only those who are the Chinese Communist Party or 8 smaller parties allied to it were allowed to contest elections held in 2002 to 3. Now, let us make it simple. So there are other political parties, smaller political parties, 7, 8 political parties are there. Okay, but these parties cannot contest elections independently. Okay, let us say, taking the example of BJP, we will take here so that you understand better. In BJP, as BJP is the national party, so there are other parties which are the members of NDA. है ना? NDA is the National Democratic Alliance. If not heard, no problem. So there are many regional parties which are the you can say allies of BJP. Okay, allies, you understand, means for example when we say BJP won the elections by these many seats. Okay, NDA won the elections. By NDA we mean BJP and its allies, means those who are, these are the partners. Okay, we count the votes of NDA as whole. Okay, all the political parties. So the parties in China which are the allies, actually there is no meaning of which are the allies, they need to be the allies of Communist Party. Okay, if they are not the allies of Communist Party, then they will not be allowed to contest elections. Okay, so before contesting election, candidate means the one who is wanting to get elected as a member of National People's Congress, has to take the approval of Chinese Communist Party. So the government is always formed by Communist Party, because this party or the government, communist government in China, does not allow any other political party to contest elections independently, okay, or as the competitor of Communist Party. You have to be the allies or you have to be with the Communist Party. Okay, so there is only one party. Alternatively, since its independence in 1930, Mexico also. Now this is another example of Mexico. Mexico got its independence in 1930. It holds election every 6 years. Okay, as we have system of 5 year, after every 5 year elections in Mexico, elections are held every 6 years to elect its president. But until 2000, every election was won by party called as PRI. Now from 1930 to 2000, how many years? Means for 70 years, elections were won every time by PRI party. Its full form is Institutional Revolutionary Party. Okay, means for 70 years continuously government was formed by this party. If you imagine in India for 70 years government will be formed by BJP party or by any one party, actually it is not possible if elections are held free and fair. Okay, but it happened in Mexico. Should we consider the elections described above as examples of people electing their rulers? Now here it is not explained that how it happened in Mexico, but let us just read this. Why did they won elections for 70 years continuously? Because PRI used many dirty tricks to win the elections. Okay, how opposition parties did contest elections but never managed to win. It was not so like in China's case. In Mexico there were opposition parties, but they could never manage to win. Why? Because PRI was known to use many dirty tricks. Okay, so dirty tricks were used by PRI party to win the elections. Okay, so what were these dirty tricks? All those who were employed in government offices had to attend its party meetings. Okay, means for example, if I am doing a job of a government teacher, then also I had to attend party meetings. Okay, means otherwise I don't have to do anything with the party meetings, being a teacher. But all the government officials, whatever job or whatever field they were in, they had to attend the party meeting. Okay, and the school teachers, they were forced that whenever there is PTM, parent teacher meeting, they have to force parents to vote for PRI. PRI means name of the party. Okay, media also always ignored all these dirty tricks of this party, and sometimes the polling booths were also shifted from one place to another in the last minute, which made it very difficult for people to cast their vote. Now, for example, if party was knowing that from this area they will not be getting votes, okay, people are not in their favor, so they will not let those people vote. Okay, so from those places, voting booths were shifted on the last minute from one place to another, so people could not cast their vote. Okay, So PRI spent a large sum of money also in the campaign for its candidates. And you will be studying in further chapters that government decides, or not government actually, election commission decides the amount of money which you can spend on propaganda or on the advertisement of your party. But PRI party did not follow to that limit. They used a huge amount of money to propagate, or you can say to advertise their candidates. Okay, so these dirty tricks were used by PRI to win the elections. Okay, so you can enlist first dirty trick. It was okay. You cannot answer. I many times I just feel like I am in class. So first dirty trick, all the government officials had to attend the party meetings and school teachers were forced to force the parents to vote for PRI only. Second, media also ignored the activities of PRI and they always criticized the other opposition parties of PRI. Okay. Third, polling booths were shifted from one place to another on the last minute, which made it difficult for people to cast their vote. Fourth, PRI spent a large amount of money on campaigning for its candidates. Okay. So now after studying these two cases in China and in Mexico, should we consider these both elections as democratic elections? In China, there means only one political party, people don't have any choice. Okay. And in Mexico, the party always uses dirty tricks to win the elections. Okay, so after reading these examples, I hope you will also say we must not consider these elections as democratic. So democracy must be based on free and fair elections where those currently in power have a fair chance of losing. Means for in Mexico, what happened? PRI party. Okay, let us say in 2006 there were elections held. Okay, that time PRI was in power. It had government. It should have fair chance to lose the elections, okay, which it did not have because it used dirty tricks to win the election. So again it formed government. So again and again it kept on forming government. Okay, so other parties did not get fair chance to win the elections because their party it was always criticized by media also, opposition parties of PRI. Okay, and media always ignored the activities of PRI. Okay. So all these are the two features of democracy. One, major decisions should be taken by elected leaders, and second, we have seen that elections should be held in free and fair manner. There are two more features of democracy which we will be studying in next video. But for today, this much will be enough for you. Let me know if you have any doubt in these two features or in the definition or anywhere in this topic. Let me know in the comment section. Take care.